Before we start, take a moment to like and subscribe. Our Stone Age ancestors were truly amazing architects and engineers. They didn't just have one kind of home. They had an entire real estate portfolio tailored to every environment, from icy plains to deep forests. They knew how to make a cozy, high-tech shelter out of almost anything. Here is a fun, detailed look at the many different kinds of shelters Ice Age people lived in, proving they were the ultimate survival superstars. When groups weren't chasing migrating herds, they wanted a home that would last for years, offering maximum security and warmth with minimal effort. If you found a good cave, you hit the real estate jackpot. Caves offered instant natural protection from terrible weather, howling winds, and dangerous predators. The earth itself acts as a blanket, keeping the cave much warmer than the air outside during winter. Our ancestors didn't just camp in the dark. They performed smart renovations using fire to provide light and warmth, always placing the hearth's fire pits near the entrance so the smoke would drift out, keeping the air clean inside. Many of these homes also had built-in safety and served as places for rituals and art, leaving behind beautiful cave paintings that might have been maps, spiritual stories, or simply a way to teach hunting lessons to the next generation. These were homes, schools, and art galleries all in one. When there were no caves, why not dig one? A pit house was a home partially dug into the ground, making it semi-subterranean. The genius here is thermal insulation, giving the structure a superpower. Digging down meant the family was immediately sheltered by the earth on three sides, and they would build the rest of the roof from timber, brush, and hides, sometimes covering it with dirt or turf. This ingenious setup meant the inside stayed remarkably steady in temperature, cool in a warm period, and cozy in the deepest freeze. It was essentially like living in a big, warm thermos. In mountainous or rocky areas where tall trees were scarce but stones were everywhere, humans became master stonemasons. They would stack stones to create low, sturdy walls. These walls weren't just for privacy, they were incredibly durable and wind-resistant, protecting the interior space from the brutal Ice Age gusts. For the finishing touches, the roof would be built separately using any available wood. Brush, or thick animal hide stretched tightly across the top, often weighted down with more stones to keep everything secure. In the vast, flat tundra or steppe regions, people utilized the ground itself in a different way. They cut large, sturdy blocks of grass-covered earth called turf or sod and stacked them up like giant, grassy legios to form the walls. The roots and dense soil held the blocks together perfectly, and these turf walls provided truly superior warmth and excellent insulation. The combination of dirt and roots trapped air and kept the cold out, creating a snug and long-lasting shelter. This is perhaps the most famous and most unbelievable Ice Age dwelling. On the treeless, icy plains of what is now Russia and Ukraine, mammoth remains were abundant. So, what did people do? They built their homes from the bones of giants. They used the massive, heavy jawbones and thigh bones as a foundation and structural pillars, while the huge curved tusks were used to form magnificent arched entrances and strong roof supports. For layers of protection, the entire structure would be draped in many layers of thick animal hides. To make it super insulated, they would often pack dirt, clay, and even more bones around the base, effectively making it a completely windproof fortress that could survive repeated deep freezes. In successful hunting communities, it made sense for extended families or a whole band of hunters to live together in one large structure. These larger shelters, sometimes built from multiple mammoth skeletons, large logs, or earth, featured multiple fire pits down the center, which created a wonderful shared space. This meant many families could share the warmth and cooking space efficiently. This kind of communal living made for efficiency in numbers, making it easy to share resources, work on tools together, and look after children, proving that working together was the greatest survival strategy of all. These were the ultimate portable dwellings, similar to later Native American tipis, and were designed for speed and efficiency. The frame was made from carefully selected light but strong wooden poles. For quick assembly, thick animal hides were stretched around the frame, secured with ropes or sinew, and pegged to the ground. When it was time to move, the poles and hides could be bundled up and carried by humans, or on simple sleds, allowing the hunter-gatherers to follow their food source instantly. While perhaps more famous from later Arctic cultures like the Inuit, the idea of using compressed snow for shelter was known in the coldest Ice Age regions. Snow is an amazing insulator because of all the tiny pockets of trapped air within it, providing trapped air magic. A shelter built from packed snow blocks, like an igloo, could keep the interior much warmer than the icy air outside. These were generally used as temporary camps by mobile hunting groups who needed a fast, reliable place to rest during a deep winter hunt before returning to a more permanent base. In areas with more forests, people could quickly construct shelters using abundant natural materials. These often took the form of simple designs like dome-shaped huts or simple lianto structures. They used large branches as the frame, which were then woven with smaller branches, reeds, and grasses to waterproof it. A technique known as the waterproofing trick was used. They would smear the outside with mud, clay, or wet animal dung and cover the roof with large leaves or hides, acting like an early form of weatherproof siding. Ice Age humans were masters of using what they found, turning existing features of the landscape into immediate, safe places to stay. Sometimes, all you needed was a good roof. A cliff overhang provided immediate natural shelter from rain, snow, and wind, acting as a ready-made roof and a solid back wall for added comfort. The people would then build a temporary fire pit beneath the overhang and add simple windbreaks made of piled stones or brush on the open sides to make the space warmer and cozier. Why build a new home when a professional digger has already done the hard work? Sometimes groups would opportunistically use large abandoned dens or burrows, perhaps from cave bears or other large mammals. They would first clean out the den and then modify it, the cleaned and modified approach, by adding their own bedding of furs and grasses, and sometimes even a tiny, carefully managed fire pit near the entrance for warmth. It was a fast and safe option in an emergency. In warmer or heavily forested areas, especially those near swampy ground, staying dry and safe from predators was the main goal. These were temporary platforms or coverings built up in the air into the thick branches of trees. Living above the ground kept them dry during floods or rain and helped protect them from large predators roaming the forest floor at night. This technique really shows the clever evolution of building. They started by weaving a sturdy frame out of thin, flexible branches, which was the wattle part, the weave, similar to a giant basket. They then covered this woven framework with a thick mixture of mud, clay, and animal dung, the daub or the plaster job. Once this dried, it became a hard, insulating wall that kept the wind out and the heat in. This emerging technology led to much more durable homes later on. It's clear our Ice Age ancestors were incredibly smart, using materials from bone and stone to snow and mud. They mastered the art of survival by becoming the world's very first, very best architects.